Global factors are imposing themselves on our election campaign as we speak. And that'll continue tomorrow when Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day might see more tariffs imposed on Australian goods. The US and Trumpian angle is being worked by Labor against Peter Dutton. But the China intimidation and Anthony Albanese's weakness are looming as a major vulnerability for Labor. For Albanese, China did today just what he would not have wanted. Beijing has come out strongly on Albo's side. The communist regime have praised their handsome boy. It all stems back to how our Prime Minister has rolled over in the face of Chinese intimidation. Remember when those Chinese Navy vessels conducted unannounced live firing exercises in the Tasman Sea and Albanese made excuses for them?
Well, this is activity that has occurred in waters consistent with international law. The notification has occurred.
And it's gotten worse this week when the Chinese research vessel, the one experts say is a spy ship, began sailing off our southern coast. Again, Albanese was none too fussed.
I would prefer that it wasn't there, but we live in circumstances where just as Australia has vessels in the South China Sea and vessels in the Taiwan Strait and a range of areas, this vessel is there.
Peter Dutton, on the other hand, has been robust against China's actions and attacking Albanese's approach.
It is unbelievable that the Prime Minister can't explain to the Australian people what is happening here. Of course there's a collection of intelligence, and of course there is a mapping of undersea cable. The other thing which I think is completely offensive to the men and women of the Royal Australian Navy is to draw some equivalence between the men and women of the Royal Australian Navy and their exercises that they conduct in our country's name and that of the Chinese Communist Party and what those vessels are doing.
So today, the Global Times, the media mouthpiece for Beijing's communist government, editorialised about Australia and what it called our paranoia. It said some Australian politicians just don't get it. They try to block the improvement of China-Australia relations, spewing harmful rhetoric and hijacking the relationship for their personal benefit. That's the real threat to Australia, not the research vessel from China, says Beijing. The editorial lashed out at the media too, including Sky News, for referring to the research vessel as a Chinese spy ship and saying it was mapping submarine cables. And it mentioned the Australian too for claiming the China spy ship has Labor all at sea. Well, this issue does seem to have Labor all at sea now because China has thrown its public support behind Albanese, saying that when our Prime Minister referred to Australian vessels in the South China Sea and Taiwan Straits and just noted that the Chinese vessel was there, he was speaking the truth. And China noted that Albanese was calling out the double standards of some Australian politicians and media. Wow, I've often said that Albanese sounds like he's trying to please Beijing. Now we see that he is pleasing them. It's a different response for the opposition leader. China says Dutton is focused on the election as his last chance to run for office, and that's why he's beating the drums of war against China again. So there you have it. Albanese often sounds like he's trying to appease China. Dutton stands up to them, and China has come in strongly behind Albo and Labor. With friends like these, Albanese hardly needs enemies.